So the topic of today's presentation is keeping first-year students engaged and happy in the face of COVID-19. And I said lessons from my Business 101 class. I know sometimes, it seems I'm talking to people that already know everything about how to keep students engaged and happy. But I kind of want to share with you some of my personal lessons for my Business 101 class. So if you have any contribution, you can just come in as I start with the presentation. So I'd like to start with just a literature review. I will read from the screen. According to a study by Howard 2013, half of all students who do not persist in college drop out by the end of the first year and do not return. The second one is the most important factors in increasing student retention are interaction with other members of the campus community, including faculty, staff, and peers, as well as successful student integration into the social and academic fabric of the campus. This is just like a background literature that is somehow guiding my presentation. Based on what I've read, I can conclude, I said my thoughts. What are my thoughts? I say that when students are engaged in the classroom and they are happy, they are likely going to complete their education at LC State. So engaged students plus happy students will lead to retained students. That is, students that will complete their program at the university. So the question is, which is one of the goals of this presentation, how do we keep our first year students engaged and happy in the classroom? And how do we increase our first year students retention rate? The chair of my division once asked me a question, and he said, which of my classes is my best classes? He said, which one of them is your best classes? I was curious when he asked that question because I didn't know what to follow up from there. So I said, all my classes. They are very interesting and I love my classes. I love my classes. He said, what do you think about Business 101? He said, because you have great feedback and comment from students, from your LCEs. I said, yes, I love Business 101 and I love all my classes the same. And that is why I thought, okay, let me present something from lessons, with respect to lessons from my Business 101 class. Not only that, there are some testimonies from students that I would like to share with you. There are several of them. And I will just share a few, and maybe before the end of the presentation, I will still be able to share a few with you. One of the students said something sometime. He said, thank you for teaching me. I may not be the best student for you, but you are the best teacher for me. And then this resonated with me. And that is why I love to do what I do. Being the best teacher for the students. Another student said, it was in the middle of the class. I was teaching a Business 101 class. He said, well, Professor, I've decided to change to marketing. I said, why? It just fell in love with everything. He said, I've decided to change to marketing. I love those comments, by the way. And another one I would like to read, he said, looking back on this semester, the student was talking about the last semester, with COVID. He said, I can honestly say that I'm enjoying my college experience a lot more than I enjoyed high school. Specifically, I look forward to being in class. COVID has made a huge impact on how this semester ran, but I knew I would be in class for business and I enjoyed that part. He always looked forward to coming to the class. That kind of, it's interest to me. I love students being engaged in that manner, that even with everything going around, they look forward to coming to class regularly on a regular basis. And that is why I love this topic I'm presenting on. I know we have various experiences with students, but I'm looking at it from my own personal classroom. So, and that is why I said lessons from my Business 101 class. You remember the challenges of last semester fall. You know, around July, August, we were told that we're going to have a face-to-face class, even with COVID. You know, I put on the screen, you see the COVID there, COVID-19, the pandemic started. And we're going to use masks. You know why that worries me a lot? You know, I tell my students on my first day of class, I said, I have American accent. So they all laugh, And I try to think about it. Somebody with an American accent, and now combine that with a mask on. That is a real worry. So I started thinking, no, how will the students get to hear me and understand me clearly? So that was part of the challenges I faced personally. With a mask on, hope my students will be able to understand me clearly, because I try to reason from their own perspective. And sanitizer, you see there, that's a little problem, not so much. That's least of my worries. What about this one? I don't get to even know my students. I remember there was a time they were having Zoom presentation, and I was saying, are you sure you are in my class? Because come to think of it, it seems I've never seen them before. So that is a challenge to me on its own, because I like interaction. I love. Any question? Okay, I thought I had a noise. So I love interacting with my students, seeing their faces and everything. So I was kind of, wow. I don't even know my students. And you say that on social distancing, I love to do activities. How will I do bring students together to work on problems in the classroom while trying to observe social distancing? I remember in one of our business retreats, I was talking to some of my colleagues that this is my plan. This is what I plan to do for the upcoming semester, because I cannot do without group activities in the class. And the last one here is, I already talked about it, I have to put mask on, and I worry about my accents. How will the students here understand me clearly? So I was, a bit worried about all those things. So those were some of the challenges of the COVID semester. And I said, my lessons from my Business 101, because it would interest you that at the beginning of the semester, I think I have about 28 students. And at the end of the semester, I still had about 26 students. So that was good for me. So the question, in the face of that COVID era or pandemic, one of the questions is, how can I continue to keep my students engaged and happy? How can I always be my students' best professor? Just like that student commented, I want to be their best professors, one of their best professors. What did I do differently last semester? Because I was going through some of my essays and students' comments, and they were beautiful. So what did I do differently? I was trying to look inward and to see, did I do something differently? Probably what I did would help somebody out there. So how can my activities in the classroom lead to increased student retention? I'm in marketing, and I know, we talk a lot about, we call something Pareto principle. 20% of your customers, they account for the 80% of your revenue. If I keep my students engaged and they love this class, the tendency is that they will complete their degree at LC State. And the tendency is that they will tell their friends about this institution. In marketing, we talk about Rule 66. Rule 66, if an individual experiences a positive customer service from a sales guy, is going to tell 11 people. And each of those 11 people is going to tell 5 people. So when you add everything together, we come about Rule 66. So it's about retention. It's about my students completing their degree at LC State. So let's see some lessons from my Business 101 class. The first thing I look at is having a syllabus that is exciting and engaging. You know, before the start of the semester, students can see their syllabus. I mean, it's made available on Canvas, I think, Friday before the Monday when school starts. So creating an exciting syllabus can make people or students to want to stay in the class. Because I've come to realize that some students drop the class even after reading the syllabus. So what is it about syllabus that will make some students to drop out even after reading the syllabus? So I kind of think, well, I should put a lot of work into making my syllabus exciting. I don't want it to be boring. Boring in the sense that this is the first thing you have, the second thing, and everything is like repetitive. There's nothing exciting. So I want the syllabus to be exciting so that students seeing the syllabus, they can look ahead and look forward to the beginning of the semester. So the syllabus should be well organized. You know, it's easy for syllabus to be with errors. Especially, you know, when we use the syllabus from last semester, we're using it this semester, and we're using next semester. Sometimes, you know, the office hours might change, some things might change, and if we're not careful, we carry it over into the next semester. And come to think of it, a student just reading the syllabus, come across these errors, and that kind of, creates a sense of dissatisfaction, even before starting the class. So it's good to format the syllabus very well. Good spacing, the fonts and the font size, if you can use color, clear calendar for the class should be there so that students know what is due and when it is due. Make it beautiful. I don't think there is anything telling us not to make it beautiful to our taste, even though we might have division-specific ways of making a syllabus, but we can make it exciting so that if we create, students will look forward to the beginning of the semester. The second thing I said, importance of the first day of class. I said one of the most important days of the semester is the first day of class. You know, when I was growing up as a child, I think I was about 8 years old. My mom took me to a doctor in Nigeria. The doctor happened to be a white doctor. And I was happy seeing the white doctor for the first time because I was having asthma, so infection with my breathing. So when my mom took me there, I love seeing a white person. So I kind of admired. But after 2-3 minutes, I saw the white woman doctor. My mom told her about my situation. And she replied, "Oh, your son had asthma? Oh, my mom said, yes. He said, okay, no worries. And she brought an encyclopedia of medicine. And she started flipping pages and looking for where the asthma is to know what to prescribe. As a child, I looked at my mom. I said, Mom, no, I don't think, no way. I think we should go. I think the doctor could see that, and eventually we left. So the first impression matters most. And that is why I take my first day of class very seriously. It is a time I try to deliver a sales speech. And who is the product here? You know, I talked about marketing. I love marketing. I talk about product. And if you are not careful, I might encourage you. I might start an interest within you for a marketing degree. So, deliver a sales speech. Who is the product here? I am the product. So I am the product, and I'm delivering a sales speech about myself. You tell a little bit about yourself. You know, we are trying to connect with students cognitively and effectively. I want to connect to their reasoning, the rationale for taking the class. I want to connect to their emotions, have an emotional connection. Don't forget, I'm very well aware about my accent, and I tell them ahead of the class. Why do I do that? I want to answer their questions before they ask. They may have these hidden questions within them. Oh, who is this teacher? Is he going to be my teacher? Is he going to be the best teacher I'm going to have? How is this class going to be? And that is why the first day is very important. It's not only even for international professors, even for professors here. It's possible to think that, oh, I'm the best professor, but do our students see us that way? So the first day of lecture is to connect myself with the students cognitively. How do I do that? You know, it's just like the example I gave. Students come to receive service. Service is a product. So they come to receive service. Services can be variable. A different professor might teach a class and students will enjoy it. Another professor will teach the class. Students will not enjoy it. So service can be variable. And that is why I need to sell myself to them on the first day. How do I sell myself? I tell them about my background, academic background. I tell them I have a PhD in engineering and under postdoctorate in marketing. I tell them about my work experience back in Nigeria. I'm back here. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to connect with them that I know what I'm talking about. It's not, I'm a professor in this field. I try to tell them about my experience. So I connect to them cognitively. So not only that, affectively, I try to connect with their emotions. And that is very important. Telling them about my background. I remember at the time, I told them, I said, well, when I came to the United States, I said it was difficult for me to understand what my professors were saying. You know, so I tried to put myself in their position. So the first day of class, I think is very important because students have come to receive service. They need to be creative. You know, I know we have different ways of creating fun for our students. One of the ways is through games. And I put one here, the monkey business illusion. So I mean, because of time, I will not be able to play that one. So what I'm saying is, in essence, is that we need to put a lot of effort into the first day of class because I am selling myself on the first day of class. So what do you do on your first day of class? I know we have various things that we do. Maybe we talk about that at the end of the presentation. Now, the first lecture, that is my second sales speech. Who is the product here? The product here is my Business 101 class. So this is where I tell my students, I don't go by the textbook or the chapter 1, no. I start with financial planning. What I'm trying to do here is to connect my students with the importance of taking this class. You are taking this class and you don't want to miss something. You don't want to drop out of this class because this class is about the future. This class is about your career. So I deliver a speech to talk about this class. So the goal is to connect them with the class, with the Business 101 and the future of what they are taking, the class they are taking. So I tell in the first class, I remember I presented something about stock market. I present something about financial planning. and savings and how to create a budget and everything. So immediately they started thinking about the class. I was trying to make a connection with them about the reason why they need to be happy for taking this class, and they need to be engaged and to take the class seriously. So this is one of the questions I asked them to get their mind thinking. I said, if you had purchased 100 shares in this company when it was available to the public in 1965, it could have cost $2,250. If you add onto the stock until today, the number of shares you would have would be 74,360 with a value of approximately $10.6 million. So I said, what is the name of the company? And that's the first question. So I try to bring about curiosity. I want them to start thinking about this. And the name of this company, I think probably you know, McDonald's. So now, what is the feedback from my first class? Immediate feedback. Students got interested in stock market. In fact, I remember one student contacted me. He said, please, can you provide a list of 20 companies for me to buy? Almost immediately. He said, I'm so much interested. So another student told me, he said, he's interested in real estate. Immediately, I told them in the class about one of my former students, my business 101 student, that was into real estate. And now he has graduated from LC, beautiful CGPA, and great. So I was able to connect the two together almost from the beginning of the semester. So imagine, this student definitely stayed, and they would stay. Why? Because the connection I was able to make from the first day of class. And another thing is that I saw that students had to talk to one another. There was bonding. Oh, they were sharing their experiences together with one another. And I love that. So that is why I said the first lecture is very important to me. I try to bring the application of the application of the class to their future and to their future career. Number 4. I talked about engaging activities. I know we all do a lot of engaging activities. But this is just from one of my classes. You see this? One of the students designed this. He called it Ayocola. The reason for that, I always talk about Ayocola. And I just, before the end of the semester, he just designed something like this and gave it to me. What am I saying? We use some engaging activities. Debates. I used a lot of debate in my class. They will go, especially last semester when there was COVID. The students will go to their places and have a Zoom presentation with one another. I told them they don't have to engage physically. They could use Zoom. So they do Zoom presentations and everything, and they appoint somebody to do the presentation on the day of the presentation. So I use debates. I use projects. In fact, I use team activities regularly. Even with COVID, I was trying to still observe the social distancing and still make sure I did some activities. So there's group work. I use poll everywhere. I use videos, role play. So I know that we have a ton of that. But this, I'm talking from my own business 101 class. Number 5, the need to encourage horizontal bonding. This is very important when it comes to bonding, because one of the ways to get students to attend the class is to strengthen their bonds with one another. So I try to make sure that I strengthen that, I encourage that horizontal bonding among my students. So I said, be intentional about it. I was intentional about it. I want to create a sense of bonding among my students. So I was intentional about it. I made sure that my activities strengthened that bond. So I was into that. group take-home Zoom activity. So the purpose of this is to make sure that they bonded even before coming to the class. And I think the students, they love it. Team activities, I talked about that, all with the goal of ensuring that they are well bonded together. I know definitely some students may not like their groups, but what I do a kind of rotational grouping. So every activity, because every day of class, we have an activity. So I make sure that students they rotate their partners from the beginning of the semester. So before the end of the semester, they are engaged with virtually everybody in the classroom. One other thing, debate, I already said something like that. Before I go to the next slide on the next lesson, I want to give a feedback from a student in the next slide. This student said, he said, one of the things I enjoyed most in this class was the class activities and working on different marketing plans as a group. This not only helped me learn the material better, but also helped me make new friends throughout this class who had similar ideas and viewpoints as my own. Not only did this help me grow individually in my learning, but I believe the fellowship in the business world is also important as it's making connections. Overall, I enjoyed this class setting and the group that I got to be a part of. I believe I've made some great friends for life, and we continue to utilize this knowledge from this class in the future. So I love this type of comments because they emphasize what I was trying to pass across to the students in terms of horizontal bonding. And the thing with horizontal bonding is that, students will love to come to the class because they know they're going to see their friends also in the class because they are bonded together horizontally. The sixth lesson is the need for vertical bonding. When I talk about the need for vertical bonding, I don't just want the students to bond alone. I want to bond with the students. I want to grow with the students. I want to know them. I want to have a relationship, academic one with them. You remember what I said at the beginning? From literature, interaction between faculty and students strengthens retention rates or increases retention rates. So I need to have a connection, a vertical bonding with my students, and I'm intentional about it. I try to call my students by name, and that is very important, and I try to understand and read my students. I try to understand them. Definitely there are many students, but I try to understand them based on their assessment results, based on their interaction in class, based on how they engage and how they answer questions in class. So I try to understand that there. And what do I do with that understanding? I encourage the weak ones. I remember one of my students in one of my classes, I knew it was probably going through a tough time. It was time to encourage and to help him through. So this is based on vertical bonding, understanding the students and trying to read the students. Another thing I've discovered is validation. What do I mean? Sometimes we tell students something that we reassure them that they are doing something very well. So in some of my classes, I remember I've called some of them presidents. I gave titles to some of my students, vice president. And when I see them all around on campus, I still call them by that title. It happened that I saw one of my students one time, they had a role play in the class. So I told her, because I was able to see a presentation. I was able to see how she took on the lead role in the presentation. So at the end of the presentation, I called her aside. I told her what is her plan for the future. I said, because I can see you work or in the future, I can see you working in a corporate environment. I told her not to aspire for the middle. She should aspire for being the best in that corporate world. You know, the feedback from that, I just said that because I saw that in her. So what happened? Next slide, I will show you the comment from that student. This is a comment from that student. They said, a business degree in particular is one that I feel is hard to make a career out of. Yes, it can be used in many different fields, but so many people have this degree that in order to be really successful, you have to be either very gifted or incredibly patient and hardworking, or just something special in general. To have a business professor tell me that I saw those qualities in me and thought I could be successful was so reassuring and meaningful. It was much needed validation that I'm doing the right thing and I truly can achieve what I desire. I remember excitedly calling my parents to tell them about what he said to me and telling literally all of my close friends. It's one of the best interactions I've had with anyone here at LC so far. What am I talking about? Some students need validation. So I try to have a personal connection with my students, helping the weak ones and try to strengthen the ones that are doing very good. So the next one I said, feedback from students and the need to adjust. You know, sometimes we need feedback from students. Definitely we have SCEs. And at the end of the semester, we see the SCEs, but sometimes we don't even look at what the students put down there when we receive the semester after. But what I do is that in the middle of the semester, I try to gauge the students' opinion, thoughts about the class through my activities and through my interaction. There was an instance, I gave them an assignment. I believe you can see this. I gave them an assignment to design. It was a t-shirt design. So I asked them to design a t-shirt for the class. And one of the group, and after we used a poll everywhere to decide the best design. I mean, the group with the best design. So what happened is that this group, they put my picture there. And when I was reading it in the class, and when they were presenting, they were kind of happy with their presentation. You see, they said something there, and I read it immediately. It says, that is, they are talking about me, lectures business students about the equilibrium in supply and demand. It said demands more homework than students are willing to supply. You see, all the students, when it was about time to vote, all the students voted for this. They said this is the best presentation so far. After the presentation, I told them, I said, I got the message. I got the message. So they laughed. I got the message. Oh, I gave you a lot of homework. You know, some of them say, oh, they're challenging homeworks and everything. By the time I finished telling them the reasons behind my actions, they loved the homework more because I told them from past testimonies from students and why I do what I do. So sometimes we may not change the approach after getting feedback from the students, but we need to tell them the reasons for our actions. And that is what I did in my class. So in some situations, we can design our own survey questions and have students answer them in the class so that we can gauge how students are enjoying the class. Doing this will make them happy, and especially when you talk about some of their comments and tell them the reasons for the action and what we are doing about it, either correcting it, either just telling them, well, the reasons why I do what I do. The eighth reason is, I said, use technology. You know, looking at the students in my business 101 class, most of them are freshmen. So they are used to technology. They are used to playing with their phones. So sometimes I can allow them to use their phones in the class for class activities. So I can design something purposely to make sure that they use their phones or technology, computer, anything in the classroom. The reason for this, I'm intentional about this too. I want them to use their technology because they are used to it. So sometimes I use Code Everywhere, Zoom presentation. I go to visit them in their classroom breakout sections in the Zoom presentations, and I show them videos on trends. So I'd say use technology. So I use this a lot, and students, they love it when they're able to use technology. I know definitely we've had previous presentations on technology, and I know we use different technology in the classes, but I'm just re-emphasizing that. That is what I sometimes use in my class. So those are the 8 lessons. And at the end of the semester, because it's good that I tell you what happened, I still had 26 students in my Business 101 class, even despite the COVID-19 pandemic and the challenges that it presented even last semester. Only 1 or 2 dropped the class before the end of the semester. I mean, for reasons because I tried to communicate, but I wasn't getting a response. So I don't know what happened along that line. But what am I saying? Even in the face of this COVID-19, I think students, I was still able to retain my students from the beginning of the semester, at least virtually all of them, to the end of the semester. I quickly want to share some comments from students with you. Sorry to bore you with this. I'm about concluding my presentation. This is what one of the students said. He said, going into Business 101, I thought it was going to be a piece of cake and a walk in the park. I was definitely wrong. This class challenged me in ways that I couldn't even imagine. There's a lot more that goes into business than I originally thought. But I was still really happy that I took this class, even though I did not do so well in this class. It helped me realize that I just need to step up my game and come back 10 times harder and show everyone that I do have what it takes. I would like to thank Dr. Ayo for teaching this amazing class and helping me realize a lot of things about business that I did not know before. Although I did pretty bad in this class, you did help me realize that I just want to try even harder than before to accomplish this. You know why I showed you this comment? You know, sometimes we have this belief that students that are doing very well in class, they give positive comments when they are doing the SEs. But you see, when the class is right, students are engaged and happy. Even when they don't do well, they know probably it's their fault, but they still love the class. I have about 3 comments. The second one said, Business 101 wasn't what I thought a college business class would look like. Coming into this class, I thought it would just be taught out of the book, reading through our textbook constantly. However, this class was the class I was most involved in. The consistent collaboration within our groups was not what I was expecting, which I enjoyed. He said, through the semester, I have learned how to communicate with the team better, a skill that I have practiced and we continue through college. The concerts that we have through group is a small, through the group activities, I guess, is a small networking group that we created throughout the semester. One of my favorite parts of the class was listening to Doctor's advice. With the experience that he had in the marketing world, I really enjoyed sitting in class and learning about the industry. You know, these are comments from students which reinforces what I want. I want them to be engaged. I want them to be happy through the various things I've said in the presentation. Lastly, this student said, there are too many hours spent in class that I wouldn't take back if I could. My business class inspired me to start thinking differently about myself as a learner. But I had to get out of the classroom and get into the real world to see that change. Business 101 taught me so much more than I expected to learn in my first semester of college. Being around a large group of students and actually being face-to-face with my professor helped me better understand the material in this class. and really helped me connect more with the information. Being able to genuinely engage with the classroom material and with Ayo as a professor really helped me understand all of the material in this class and helped me genuinely learn the importance of business skills in the working field. You see, I love this. And this is why I want to stay engaged with my students throughout the semester. So I want to conclude here. I know definitely, it's as if I'm preaching to the choir, but that is why I said I'm looking at it from the lessons from my business 101. I know we do a lot of things to make our classes engaging. So in conclusion, engaged and happy first-year students are likely going to complete their degree programs at LC State. And that is true. If they are engaged, they will likely complete their programs at LC State. Not only that, they will be the marketing piece for mouthpiece for the college. I said being intentional about what we professors do in the classroom can make our freshman's college experience memorable. And lastly, engaged and happy students are likely going to tell their friends about LC State. I talked about Rule 66 in marketing, and I think I've talked about it before. Make one customer happy is going to tell 11 other customers. Each of those 11 customers will tell 5 each, so making it Rule 66. And that is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for listening. Do we have contributions? Sorry, I've talked all through. I wanted to have us to interact along the line, but I don't want to mess up with the Zoom. So I have to somehow finish. So I will stop this so that I can see our faces. Thank you so much.
Well, Ayo, thank you so much for being here and for talking with us today, and for your warmth and compassion with your students, and for the humor and stories that you tell them. It's so inspiring. You're really inspiring. And I also love the molecules that you have on your slides. So thank you for including chemistry. You got to put science in there somewhere. I know you're a scientist as well as a business person. So I saw that in there. Are there questions that folks have for Ayo, or things that particularly resonated with you, or that you are thinking, oh, maybe you'll go off and do soon? I know for me, this reminder to talk with my students about things that I can see that they're trying hard with, even if they're not doing perfectly with. But are there other things